Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Boxing Info. I'm your host, The Islander, and just going to go do a recap of last fight I previewed, which was the Pascal Bernard Hopkins light heavyweight title fight, in which, there's been a lot of commentary going back and forth either on the preview video or on my channel comments, in which there's been dispute over who won the fight and this and that. And just recent news from last week, the WBC has ordered a rematch between the two. Now, what does this mean? There's a contract on the table in which Pascal owes Chad Dawson a rematch, where they were both able to take it. Pascal was able to take an interim fight, being this one. What's really at stake here is the linear light heavyweight championship of the world that was kind of recreated when these two fought each other, with Dawson fighting Pascal and Pascal winning. The WBC may strip away the title if he doesn't fight Hopkins again, which I don't think really means much, because Hopkins doesn't want the maybe he does want the WBC belt, but it's really the lineage that he's after and all fighters are after. But in any event, this fight, I'm going to recap it real quick, because the controversy here is whether or not Pascal deserved the draw, and I thought Hopkins won the fight legitimately after falling behind horrendously after the first 3 rounds. The first round, I thought the knockdown was questionable. I thought that Pascal cuffed Hopkins behind the head and pulled him down, very similar to the way Juan Domingo Roldan cuffed Marvin Hagler behind the head and pulled him down in the first seconds of their fight, way back when. Referee ruled it a knockdown. Hopkins disputed it. I kind of didn't think it was a legit knockdown. A couple of rounds later, again, Hopkins got caught with a punch basically on the side of the head and went down. Again, it looked like Pascal was pulling Hopkins toward him, but he did hit him with a punch, and Hopkins went down to his knees and jumped right back up again. After 3 rounds, after 3.5 rounds, into the 4th round, it had the appearance that Pascal, with the way he fought in spurts, was backing up, basically leading Hopkins to the traps, was dominating this fight, and was going to walk away. He was up, in my opinion, if you count the knockdowns, 5 points after 3 rounds, and was on his way to winning the 4th round until something happened in the middle of the 4th round. And he laid a trap again, and he caught Hopkins hard with a flush left hook to the head. It didn't hurt Hopkins, but it got his attention, and I could tell at that moment, it was probably about 1.5 to 2 minutes into the 4th round, the whole fight, the demeanor of the fight changed dramatically. And with that said, Hopkins reverted back to the way he used to be prior to his middleweight unification fights with Felix Trinidad mainly, in which he was a seek and destroy killer, is what he was. He was a body punching machine. He was a high contact fighter before making it to pay-per-view status. Those of you who don't believe me, go back and watch his fights against Segundo Mercado, watch his fights against Simon Brown, watch his fight against Antoine Eccles. Watch those fights, the way he behaved. It was the same in this fight. He couldn't out-cute Pascal. He couldn't out-fox Pascal. Pascal was too fast, too strong, and too good with his feet. So Hopkins went into killer mode, which I am totally for. This is the best this man has looked, to me, in over 10 years. And best not meaning his effectiveness as a boxer. He's been way more effective before. It's palatable as an entertainer. This is Bernard Hopkins at his entertaining best when he has to go get his meal. And he did. And I thought from the 5th round on to the end of the fight, you could argue that Pascal maybe eked out a round or so around the 10th round, but the guy coming forward, the guy landing the more effective punches, was Hopkins, and he deserved this. He, in my mind, deserved this decision. As I warned you before the fight, when we were talking about the odds and the gambling on this, I predicted Hopkins was going to win the fight, and I said, don't be surprised if this fight turns out to be a draw. It's their way of ripping off the visiting fighter who deserves to win the fight and preserving the title for the hometown fighter. Now listen, Pascal might change his ways in the next fight, not be winded after 4 or 5 rounds, and I really thought that he put a lot of effort into trying to knock Hopkins out in the first 4 rounds. and winded himself. Now, he was winded in the Chad Dawson fight and had to basically hold on to get that decision, that technical decision after that headbutt. But neither here nor there. I thought it was a good fight. I think both guys put forth a good effort, and I would not mind seeing it again. And hopefully one of the networks like Showtime or HBO will pick it up, which they shouldn't have a problem picking it up. And a venue here in the United States, like in Vegas, will pay to have the fight and get this fight here, because it wasn't the fight of the year, but it did have a lot of action to it and suspense and ebb and flow. So that's my take on that. And like I said, the WBC last week ordered a rematch. Whether we get it or not, it's a whole other story. Couple things that some folks had also asked me about, recapping different things like the fight of the year. My thing is, I'm not going to go heavy into detail with this. My vote for fight of the year was Humberto Soto versus Urbano Antillion. I thought that it was a very good fight. A referee's decision stopped that fight from being a draw. This is a lesson to be learned for everybody, that boxing goes in cycles, and once this draw thing happens, you'll see a rash of them. Don't be surprised if Devin Alexander and Timothy Bradley fight to a draw. The fights are getting so close that I'm not going to say the establishment, but it's almost better a fight ends a draw to create another match out of it, because neither guy has really any place viable to go in the waking moments. Now with Bradley and Alexander, there is a difference. There's a lot on the line here. Going through the awards, KO of the year, obviously it's going to be Sergio Martinez versus Paul Williams in the rematch and knockout of the year. The upset of the year, hands down, it's Jason Litzau over Celestine Caballero. Hands down. I owe that guy so many apologies, Jason Litzau, because I wrote you off. I'm not sure you'd win a rematch with Caballero when his body and his mind are right, but neither here nor there. That was hands down the upset of the year. All right, we said the fight of the year. We said the KO of the year. I'm not sure about a comeback of the year. The event of the year was obviously the two fights at Cowboy Stadium. With Pacquiao selling out 40,000 tickets live gate both times against Clottey and Margarito in two fights that went the distance. In regards to I don't know what other awards there would be, but those are my awards for the year. Coming up in a preview, though, the other thing I want to say, people have been sending me emails about some moron impersonating me. Look, just ignore them. These people lack some vital body parts. They lack a brain, they lack testicles, and they lack backbone. I said brain, testicles, back. Yeah, they won't show their face on YouTube, so they have nothing better to do than try to crap all over everybody else. Blood Boxing had a guy that made up a site that was a channel just like his channel, and sent out to all his subscribers. He sent me message after message after message trying to get me to go to his channel and read his nonsense. It's the same thing here. Just basically, if I was you, just cuss them out, whoever this person is, and tell them what a fag they are, and go on about it. Other thing in the news, Chad Dawson has hired Emmanuel Stewart to be his trainer. We'll see how much more safety first he can be now. Also in the news, it looked like Vladimir Klitschko was going to be fighting David Haye. And all of the intangibles were ironed out, all the negotiations, and from what I read, the British TV network Sky Sports is responsible for this fight not happening. And I'm trying to think of what day it was, because everything was split 50-50. And I think April 30th was the day that the Klitschko people wanted this fight. There were 2 stadiums available in Germany for this fight. All of the negotiations were handled. The German TV station that's carrying it was okay with the date. Sky Sports, and if you're from the UK and you've got a better angle on this, let me know, because this is the information I'm getting. Sky Sports is the one that would not pick up April 30th for this fight. Their claim is they're already doing a pay-per-view like 2 weeks previous with Amir Khan in the UK. There's no opponent named for Amir Khan, none whatsoever. They're going to basically say we're not going to pick up David Haye against Vladimir Klitschko because we've already committed to Amir Khan, even though there's no opponent, no venue slated. That is what killed this fight this time. So the other thing the David Haye people are saying is there is another date in July that the Klitschko people want. The David Haye people and their camp do not want Klitschko fighting Derek Chisora in between now and then. And the Klitschko people are saying, we are going to fight. You're not holding us to the fire because your TV network won't pick up this fight in April. We're not going almost a year without fighting. Or 8 months or whatever it is, 9, 10 months or whatever it's going to be. Look, it's getting to the point of being ridiculous with this. TV networks don't run boxing. And I know Sky Sports, I have nothing bad to say about you. You basically do a pretty good job. You're pretty much a monopoly, kind of like HBO is almost a monopoly. And I don't think that a TV network should be the ones to absolutely trash this fight when all the negotiations that couldn't be agreed upon in the past have been agreed upon. So the thing is, April 30th in Mannheim, Germany, Derek Chisora is getting his shot at Vladimir Klitschko and probably getting knocked out. Not certain about it, but pretty sure. And that's about it on that little piece of news. Also, this past weekend, there was supposed to be a light heavyweight unification bout with Pascal Shumenov, the WBA champion, and Jürgen somebody, I'm trying to think of what the guy's name is, from Germany, Jürgen Brähmer, to unify two forts of those titles in Kazakhstan. 3 days before the fight, Brähmer and his promoter and somebody else came down with acute gastrointestinal illness in which they couldn't, I guess, keep anything in their bodies, throwing up and bouts of diarrhea. Backing out of the fight's not the problem here. The way they did it is the problem. They basically left town and were caught at the last second leaving town without notifying the Goosens, who represent Shumenov, to let them know that they were backing out of the fight. Well, it looked like the card was in trouble, and from what I understand, many dignitaries and important people in Kazakhstan were going to attend the fight, be attending the fight. Goosen pulled one out of his butt, and how he did this I don't know, by basically elevating William Joppy, who was on the card and hadn't won a fight in I don't know how many years, to the main event to take on Shumenov for the title. And the fight did go on. Shumenov scored a 6th round knockout over Joppy, in which he was winning the fight handily, drove Joppy to the deck in the 5th round, and then backed him into a corner in the 6th round and drove him to the canvas again to one knee, and Joppy took the count on one knee. This was a good fight for Shumenov in just the sense it was a stay-busy fight, and also fighting a guy who has a different style than Brähmer on short notice, 3 days notice. So it's not like Joppy, was at that big of a disadvantage. So was Shumenov, and Shumenov came through in shining colors. So a good win for Shumenov. That's going to do it. Comments and stuff. We're going to be previewing the other fight with Bradley and Alexander in my next show. Thanks, everybody.